what is the power in that? Well, and why does that matter? Like, I mean, we're surrounded by frequencies all the time, right? And we're being bombarded by all types of noises and even inaudible frequencies and undetectable frequencies. But even not considering that, even just the audible and the detectable frequencies that we experience, I wanted to, and I know some of you might be far beyond this, so it might bore you, but I really wanted to give out just tips on how to use a dream journal, because that's what a few people have been asking me about. And of course, I keep saying, like, you could probably Google it and find, a lot of the basics, a lot of the good stuff. But then the more I started to think about it, the more I realized, even with all the books that I've read and all the advice I've seen on keeping a dream journal, I guess there's some unique things that I've done over the years that I've kind of learned and incorporated for myself as far as the dream journal goes. So maybe I could give out some tips here. And I just want to make sure I shared it and tagged everyone I can. I'm sorry I was late tonight. I was trying to get the baby settled and all that, and then just trying to set up my lights and all that out here. I realized last week I never had the damn microphone on, so it sounded horrible. But yeah, well, why won't it let me share this? All right, I'm gonna forget about that, and so whoever doesn't make it on time here, I'll have the replay up on my page, and I'll probably put up an edited version of this for everyone. So I'm just gonna get into the questions because it won't let me tag anyone. And of course, if you have any questions, you could throw them up there. I'm watching the comments here. So another question I got from the original live that I never answered was, someone asked me if I have a degree, and if so, in what fields. And I don't have a degree in anything. And I don't want to position myself as an expert on anything in any type of way. Although I'm interested in talking. I mean, some of you are really insightful, and I would like to collaborate with experts. And eventually, I'm going to turn this into a podcast, and I'll probably bring people on for interviews and stuff. That's going to be the Dreamkeeper podcast. But I'm just trying to do these lives just to get a feel for it. And I just recently got the tripod and the little light and the little lavalier microphone. It's adorable. I hope it works well. And yeah, I don't have a degree in any fields, but I have been reading on this stuff and studying it my whole life, and I have a lot of ideas about it, and I'm always willing to take any advice as long as it's coming from a pure place. Someone else asked about my creative process. Again, I wanna talk about dreams real quick. So I'm gonna answer these questions, but then we're gonna get into dream journaling. So, my creative process, and again, that's from the hip hop group. When I'm writing, usually when I'm writing, it's like a form of therapy for me, so it just comes out. But as far as like trying to create a song about a specific topic, I'll usually research it for a while. I'll usually, I work a full-time job, so while I'm working, I'm usually putting lines together in my head. And then when I really sit down and crack open the book, that's at nighttime when everyone's sleeping. As far as my creative process is concerned, when the best time for me to channel the muse is probably, the latest hours, for whatever reason that is. I guess that's when my creative juices are flowing best, and that's also when the kids are sleeping and I don't have any distractions. So my creative process, usually it'll involve some research depending on what I'm trying to do. And I'll usually, I'll pick a topic for the song and execute it to the best of my ability, because there's always so much to say about every subject. And for a long time, one of my biggest issues was trying to make my songs short enough for people to listen to. So like back my first few albums, I'd have 5-10 minute songs on there, because there's always so much to say, and there's so many words that can fit together, and you can make them work and you can make them make sense. But I've learned in the last few years more how to refine that, and how to just hit those bullet points a little bit stronger, so I don't have to extend everything so long. And it does work. They say, they all say how people's attention spans are shorter than a goldfish now. And I don't know how true that is, but I do know that that doesn't mean that people are unintelligent. So, short attention span doesn't mean that you're less intelligent. If anything, it's probably because people have more things to think about, and people are consuming so much more information that they don't have time to sit there and focus on one thing if it's not like crucially helping them in life. I get it, and that's where all the short form content comes from. So as far as my creative process, I will research, cross-reference, and build up a song, and then I'll look at it and I'll say, what does it need and what doesn't it need, and I'll usually cut out 30% of it, and I'll use those rhymes somewhere else, or I'll just keep them in the back of my mind. And a lot of people asked about freestyle, and that's what I do. That's what all the best MCs do. They keep some of those lines in the back of their head that they never used. Some of those throwaway lines. But okay. But to get on to the dream journaling, so how did I use it, and how does it work? So so the idea of a dream journal, just when you have a dream journal, knowing that you have it and knowing that you're gonna write down your dreams subconsciously, it will make you start to remember your dreams more. Maybe not for everybody, but that's what they say. For me, I don't even think that necessarily worked for me. I mean, I literally just had to. I was indulging, like I was consuming everything I could about the subject for a while. And again, there's a lot of great authors and a lot of great books to read, so that's why I wasn't gonna make a video about this. But maybe there's some things I could offer that are slightly unique or tweaked for me that might help some people. So you start out with a dream journal, and the last few videos I've been posting lately, and like what I was kind of talking about last week, that kind of highlights the reason like why it's so crucial to keep a journal. I think that when people experience deja vu, I really think that they're dreaming. And I think, if everyone was keeping track of their dreams, I think everyone would realize that more. It's really tough to experiment something like that. I know there was a guy. There's a book I used to have. I can after this live, I'll throw it up in the comments. But it was called How to Make ESP Work for You, and it was by Harold Sherman, and that's what got me into him. And he had a few more books that I had, and he used to run experiments on things like this. He did some dream experiments, actual controlled experiments. And like it was so long ago that I read that, and I don't necessarily have the results of all the experiments here. But the overwhelming evidence shows that keeping track of your dreams is beneficial, psychologically. And that's how he approached it. I think it's beneficial also spiritually, but all around. Because again, I think that the world in here can be bigger or equal to the world out here. The inner world is just as vast, if not more vast, than the outer world, or equally vast. And I think everyone spends all their time exploring everything out here, when really there's so much to understand from the inside. And I think the more you understand about yourself, psychologically, spiritually, subconsciously, I think the more you'll understand the external world, and the better you'll understand the external world, you know? And that's, you know, that's not even my theory. That like goes back to old Stoicism and even probably more ancient philosophies than that. Obviously, like, you know, Hinduism and all that. People have been searching within since the beginning of mankind. I really believe that. So when people are asking me, you know, why are dreams so important and what difference is it ever going to make? You know, a lot of the things that people focus on are much less important. So I could easily make that argument. And you know, I personally was never too interested in like sports or, you know, like any of the like celebrity drama or stuff like that. And that's cool for anyone that is. You know, I that's fine. People need to have fun and people need to have passion for something, but you know, that stuff just never interested me. And I know a lot of people that can sit there for hours and spew out all types of statistics on all types of different sports teams and stuff. I can't do that. So this is what's always interested me, and this is all I've really indulged in, you know, what, not just dreams, but, you know, all new age esoteric philosophies and, you know, ancient history and all that, and, you know, quantum physics, and it all comes full circle. And I know some of you know what I'm talking about out there. You know how all of these things relate. But but that's why it's important to keep track of your dreams and keep a dream journal, because I think it's important to understand. You'll discover things about yourself that you never realized. And that's what I've been trying to share the last few weeks, is all these things that I've discovered strictly from going through and reading my old dreams. So if you want to lucid dream, keeping a dream journal is crucial, or keeping, you know, voice recordings of your dreams. That's fine too. I wanted to tag my shop here in the live so I could try to sell some of those dream journals. Okay, you might have missed it. Yeah, I did talk about what I see in the mirror. That was in the very beginning of this video, but maybe I don't even know if my microphone was on at that point. Like last week I was quiet for the first 5 minutes, so yeah, and you've been waiting on that answer, and I never got around to it last week. We're not going to get interrupted by the dog or the bear this week. I promise you. The trash is put up, so the bear won't be going after the trash can. The dog is put up. He's comfortable. We should be good. So so hopefully no interruptions this time. Yeah, what I see when I look in the mirror, as similar to a lot of people, I would see usually like the first time, you know, I only did it once unintentionally, and then I actually thought about it and went back and tried to do it again. So what I see is, what I first saw was a blurred, distorted version of myself, but it seemed to be warping into itself, almost into like a portal. That's how I imagined. It didn't really look like a portal. It looked more like it was pulling into itself. And then so that didn't really take me anywhere. But then, like intentionally, I would start, anytime I would look into the mirror, it would never reflect anything back to me. And I don't ever actually recall specifically what I saw in the mirror, but the feeling I always had from a mirror was that I could go somewhere else in there, you know, because in my mind, it's like, even if it was a reflection, I want to go into that reflection. So the second time, after I saw that weird warped version of myself that looked like it was pulling in, the second time I go back and look at the mirror, and it kind of pulled me out of the scene I was in and into another one, into a very, very weird, strange, like discombobulated place. I almost want to say like an MC Escher-esque type place, you know, like and it wasn't like melting clocks or winding staircases, but like it was similar. Like, it's tough to explain because the images weren't, it doesn't even seem like it was exactly 3D, but but the images, everything was like there was trees. I do remember like seeing or feeling trees, but no detail. Like it was a very obscure scene that I was in, very distorted, obscure scene, the entire scene. And then but then like the third, fourth, fifth, sixth time I tried to look at the mirror in my dream. I would think about, I would try to imagine a place that I would rather be. I would try to like manifest the place I'm gonna go, because I realized that I felt like the mirror is a portal to me. I of all the answers I got from everybody, like I said it in the beginning of this video, with the polls that I took across all the different like social medias between TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, the general, the most common answer I got was that people saw either an older or a younger version of themselves, or both. A lot of people said they saw themselves at different ages. Uh, that never happened to me. So, but that was really interesting that that was the most common answer. I think that was like more than 70% of people said that. I mean, it's tough to get to figure out what the exact statistic was, but I'd say from looking at all of the responses I get, just off the top of my head, about 70% of people said they saw either an older or a younger version of themselves. And then a lot of people just saw like a weird, warped, distorted version of themselves. And but for me, it was like the very first few seconds of the first time that I looked into a mirror in a dream. It was a weird, blurry version of myself, but it instantly turned into like this pulling, a pulling. Not even like it didn't. I can't even. I don't even recall exactly what it visually was, but it was the feeling of a pulling me in, and then I didn't go into it the first time. The second time I did, and it was crazy. And then so like the third, fourth time, I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna go into this mirror, and it's gonna bring me wherever I want it to. So like, because prior to this, in my dreams, if I ever wanted to go anywhere, if I was lucid dreaming, I would fly there. I was never able to like snap my fingers and reappear somewhere else. Like I guess not that I wasn't able to, but that's just not how I went about it. And like I didn't even try. So like I wasn't teleporting in dreams. My only way of traveling was I would either have to fall asleep into the dream that I wanted to. I would have to induce that like prior to falling asleep, and imagine the scene. And or I would, wherever I happened to be at when I woke up in my dream, I would fly to get wherever I wanted to go. And we all love flying, and that's why I did it. It was a good excuse to fly. I would fly to the moon, uh, I'd fly all over the world. And of course, like, and it's interesting, I don't know how this is with anyone else. And someone the other day was telling me how she was having like out of body experiences, and she was claiming that that's what I had had. And like I said last week, like I had no way to prove that or test that. And when I asked this person how they knew that they were having an out of body experience and not lucid dreaming, they said they just felt it and they just knew. But I would challenge that, because like, I've vibrated and separated from my body and turned around and looked back at my body, and I'm like, okay, there I am laying there. This is an out of body experience. So can I go flip this book open, or can I go knock this off of the table? That didn't ever work. And then if it did, either it it just doesn't work. I mean, I wake up the next morning and there's nothing knocked off of the table. Um, so like at the same time, like there was a few times where it just didn't work. So like I'm trying to swipe it, but it won't fall off of the table. So I'm like, okay, is that an out of body experience, Or is it because I'm expecting this to be an out-of-body experience that subconsciously I'm not able to knock these things off the table? Like, I don't know. Like, that's really, really tough to test. I wonder if there's, I wonder, I wonder if there's a way to measure it and to test that. And if anyone has any ideas, let me know, because I've thought about this a lot. And again, that guy Harold Sherman, like I was talking about, he really takes the scientific approach to these things. And I know he tried some tests between people, and there was never any real solid results at all. And then, like, personally, I've never had any solid results either. And I've also, I've told people, I've told people, my old friends back when I was doing this stuff, I'd be like, I'm gonna leave my body tonight, and I'm gonna try to contact you. I'm gonna come to your room, and I'm gonna do something, So I'm gonna try to blow the wind across your face, or I'll try to shuffle something. I'll try to make some sort of noise. I'll try to give any type of sign that I'm there. And if you feel me there, let me know. And then I say, leave something out on your bedstand, and I'll let you know tomorrow what you had on your bedstand, And it never worked. It never works. You know, I, I would, I would, I would supposedly, I would have my out of body experience, which was just a lucid dream. And then, when we talk about alternate realities and stuff, we could say there's almost no difference between the two, but then there is this one fundamental difference, is that, like, if it was an out of body experience the way that most people understand them, then I would be able to see what he put on his nightstand, and I would get it right. And, remote viewing may be possible, and that it could be a type of out of body experience, but I haven't personally achieved it, and I haven't seen any evidence. So as far as I know, I was lucid dreaming all of these times. And there might be a very, very thin line between the two of them, but there's some sort of line. What You've been flying in your dreams since you were a little child. Out of body experience. I was just waking up in the dream, and I was floating near the ceiling of the room. Maybe it was astral projection. Yes. And trying to astrally project is what made me so fascinated with this. I have one of my favorite books of all time, and I think I talked about it in the last live. I did. It was called Astral, or maybe. See, I don't know what part was silenced or not, but Astral Projection and the Nature of Reality. That's an amazing book. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. He really breaks it down. He really connects all of the dots between these things in that book. And I haven't read it since I was like 16 maybe, but a lot of the things in that book still stick with me to this day. And then the more research I've done throughout all of the years just validated everything in that book. So at the same time, I don't think I achieved astral projection, or not in the sense that most people understand it. Right. Like, maybe it was, and we don't know. And that's like, it's really tough to separate the two. And anytime I've tested it, and I know this man Harold Sherman has tested it in his book, and I'm pretty sure it was all in How to Make ESP Work for You. But if not, he had a few books about these types of things. But yeah, anytime you do some sort of controlled experiment, like it doesn't work. It's not an out of body experience, and I'm not saying that they're impossible or that they don't happen. I'm just I'm skeptical. I mean, not really, because, and at the same time, like, you could say a lucid dream is an out of body experience in a sense, and if you were able to have a lucid dream that was like parallel enough to this exact reality, to this specific dimension and every frequency in this dimension, and you were maybe that's what an out of body experience is. You know, maybe it's a terrestrial lucid dream. You know, maybe that could be what astrally projecting what it is. But who knows? And if that's the case, I would love for someone to if we can conduct any experiments for anyone who practices astral projection, please. I would love to, and I definitely don't want to shoot it down. If anything, I just would like to validate it. And you know, you could say that my desire for validation might cause resistance, but like I love this stuff, and I've embraced it for a long time. So I have no reason to try to disprove it. But at the same time, like you wanna say things for what they are. You know, I wanna call it as it is, and you know, let's not you know, we don't need to create false representations where they don't exist. You know, we can just love things for what they are. It doesn't, you know, lucid dreaming itself is really fascinating and amazing, and you, you know, everything that goes along with it. And that's why I could talk about these things for hours, for days. And like I haven't, yeah, I haven't like been researching any of this stuff too much recently. You know, I'll lay in bed at night and pull open the laptop here and just start going down some rabbit holes. But you know, that's just like end of the night, few minutes type of stuff. Uh, really lately I mean, I hate to say it, but lately all of my spare time, and I was just talking to my girl about this, all of my spare time has been like on trying to learn social media marketing, you know, building online businesses and stuff. Because like, you know, I don't plan on working my 9 to 5 till the day I die, and at the same time, that doesn't quite cut it. You know, life is expensive and things are tough, so any type of extra income I can get, you know, if I can build any type of wealth anywhere else, I will. I may as well try to do it with the things I'm interested in. So, you know, whether it's with the music streams or the Facebook ad pay or whatever, or you know, the merchandise, or you know, the YouTube partnership program, something's gonna stick for me. So I've been spending all my time. So everybody's got to bear with me because like that, I spend all my time consuming that type of information, and that's not the type of stuff that interests me. You know, it's almost like having to go to school again and like sit there and like I'm finding ways to be interested in it, and you know, so I spend hours all day, even when I'm at work. You know, I'm consuming some sort of content to try to grow, like financially at this point, and and it works. And you know, I've been consistent online for like the last 6 months, and it is working. It's a slow but steady growth, and that's kind of what I want. You know, I'm not trying to shoot up overnight. I want more valuable growth. But yeah, so I get off on these stupid little tangents here. Someone asked me, how do I stay positive? And uh, I know for sure that that person doesn't personally know me, so they don't really know that I'm always positive. And as far as they're concerned, that could just be my persona online here. But anyone who does know me personally does know that I'm very positive in life, and you know, all my coworkers there, you know, yeah, you know, uh, you know, I love showing up to work every day, and I love waking up every day, and I love coming home every day, and I love life. That doesn't mean that things don't suck sometimes, you know, and things are tough, but but how do I stay positive? Um, maybe, you know, maybe I might be a little too positive to my own detriment. So like you know, I'm very absent-minded. Maybe that helps me stay positive, but it's like, okay, so I mean, I don't really know. I never thought about that specifically, but I'm grateful for everything. And I spent all of my, when I was a preteen and even like through my teenage years, I read a lot of self-help books. That's what I was consuming. If it wasn't something that was like esoteric, it was still leaning towards, like, Rhonda Burns and The Secret and all that. And I know that was like for middle-aged moms, but like when I was 14, I loved that book. It was amazing to me. And then, I realized there was more to it, and that was a very surface level knowledge. So like, there was Beyond the Secret that was written by a different author that went much deeper, and then there was like What the Bleep Do We Know? But at the same time, like I was reading Wayne Dyer books and Deepak Chopra and like literally like The Power of Positive Thinking. Like that was a book that I read when I was younger. So like maybe all that stuff rubbed off on me over all the years because we all know it ain't all peaches and cream. So yeah, that's how I stay positive. And then like making music is my therapy. So if deja vu is also a previous dream, then in a way it's also a premonition. Yeah, right. Yeah, dreamed a few times about a sequence in time that happened the next day. Yeah, I mean, and that's what got me fascinated with dreams at a young age was I think, I know I explained it in the one video. I was like 6 or 7 years old and I dreamed that my grandpa died, and then my mom woke me up from that dream and we went to the hospital, and that night my grandpa died. So yes, if deja vu is a previous dream, then in a way, I mean, the deja vu's not the premonition, the dream would be the premonition, yeah. You know, by the time you experience it, by the time it becomes deja vu, you know, that's when you realize that the dream was a premonition. So yeah, I mean, yes, dreams, I do believe that dreams can be premonitions. That is the main reason that I've been fascinated with dreams my whole life. That's because nobody can tell me that that didn't happen. That's something that I know. And it was just too coincidental. It was such a synchronicity, the feeling that I had when he died in the dream, and then the feeling that I had going to the hospital and when he actually died. Like you I know dreams are premonitions for sure. A video with a white horse on the TV that you dreamed the previous night. Yeah, I'm telling you, dreams dreams can definitely be premonitions. And then yes, that would be the deja vu we experience. You're right. That's I didn't think about that though. I realized I always, I knew dreams can be premonitions. And then I was also acknowledging that deja vu is caused from dreams. But yes, that would mean that all of those dreams that cause the deja vu, those are premonitions. We get glimpses into the future. And there's also the old saying that when you experience deja vu, it means that you're exactly when you're supposed to be and where you're supposed to be. So you're at that point in your life, you're exactly in the place you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, and you feel the synchronicity of those things lining up. And sure, that's fun to think about too. But like, yeah, yeah, I really think it's from previous dreams, and you know when you were in that dream, you were on the frequency that you would be experiencing in the future. And then we get into again like all realities existing simultaneously, and we're kind of just moving through scene to scene, dimension to dimension, matched matched with our frequencies, and as we shift our frequencies, we shift to those slightly different dimensions as we go through. And then when we fall asleep, whatever frequency that you're on, you tune into some of those other dimensions. And I really believe that that's what dreams are, 100%. So I do believe dreams are other realities, you know. And if you think about it, you know, and based on the idea that any and all possible outcomes can, will, already have, and are happening, you know, that would explain dreams. You know, if any and all possible outcomes are happening simultaneously, you just have to tune into them. Then that would explain the crazy dreams. You know, people tell me, oh, dreams can't be other realities because I dream about dinosaurs, or I dream about crazy 12-headed monsters that couldn't possibly exist. Well, we all know that reality can be stranger than fiction. I think if you live long enough, you start to realize that. And who's to say that there's can't be other realities that are slightly shifted from this dimension, where all of those things are possible, you know? And yeah, I think it's really hard to disprove. And then the more that the scientists, the physicists study it, the more that seems to be plausible. You know, it started with the string theory, saying that there was 11 dimensions, and then what it turned into the superstring theory, which was like, I don't remember. It went from like 11 dimensions to 22 dimensions to like 52 dimensions to like 70 something dimensions. And then you get like the M theory, and that's just saying like there's infinite dimensions, you know, and that putting a number on those dimensions, it's not even possible, you know. A quantitative number doesn't even apply. So, and you know, with some of the experiments they're running with the Large Hadron Collider, it a lot of these things really seem to be plausible, you know. Particles moving into and out of existence seemingly, you know, disappearing from in one place and appearing in another, you know, existing in multiple places at the same time, literally the same exact particle existing in multiple places at the same time. Yeah, thinking about the number of dimensions. And I think that's where I'm pretty sure, you know, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty damn sure that's where they got their number for the string theory originally, was that like it was well they measure these subatomic particles. They measure I could probably Google it real quick, and that's why I said I need to refresh myself on all this research. But I think they would like snapshot the picture of a revolving photon or something. But like a photon is a particle of light. So like to see it, or maybe it wasn't a photon, but a subatomic particle. So they would like want to, where are they getting the number of dimensions? Yeah. So originally, the first theory, the string theory, came from they were trying to snap pictures of these subatomic particles, but every time they would need to shine a light on the particle to see it, to get the picture of it. Otherwise, the picture was too dark for them to really see where it was. So, but when they shine the light on this, it's such a small, subatomic particles. It's so sensitive to light that the heat from the light would speed up the particle. And we all know this. That's how it works. That's why hot drinks can hold more sugar. The heat makes particles spread out. The reason it makes them spread out is because it increases their energy, so the particles start spinning faster, and the faster they spin, that trajectory pulls them apart. So as they shine the light on these subatomic particles, they start to spin too fast to get a picture of them. So what they would do is they would take it in a very, very, very dim light and then enhance it afterwards to figure out where that particle was exactly in relation to its rotation. So it's a particle revolving around the nucleus, and so they take a picture of it and then enhance it. You take a picture in very, very, very dim light and then enhance it, and at first, okay, they find the particle, you know. They would different scientists, and this was done, I know this was done by separate teams that were competing with each other. So so you know, they weren't making this up. They were actually challenging each other. You know, one team of scientists says using using all of our equations, we can predict that this subatomic particle is going to be in this position. You know, and then the other team would say, using our equations, we predict that the particle is going to be in this position. And what they realized is that when they enhanced it afterwards and figure out where that particle was, that one particle would be in both positions. And then so it was interesting. And this, I believe this was what they talked about in What the Bleep Do We Know? And again, What the Bleep Do We Know is similar to The Secret in that it was very like surface and kind of like a more of like a nostalgic way to make a cinematic movie about these things. But there was a better book about it called Beyond the Bleep, where they talked about all of this. And Beyond the Bleep, it's amazing. That I'm pretty sure. And also the astral projection and the nature of reality. I know that book talked about this. So this is where they got their idea for the dimensions is that if they try to predict where this subatomic particle would be, and they realize that I mean, they know it's only one particle. You know, they can measure it as far as mass and all of that goes, and they know that there's only one of these things that they're trying to measure. But wherever they predicted it to be is where it would be. And at one point, they you know, they enhanced it afterwards, and they found that this particle was in 11 different positions at once. And this is why they believe that there could be 11 different dimensions of the same exact thing existing at the same time, but in different places. And that's where the quantum phrase superposition comes from. It is one particle in lots of different possible positions, and they say that it doesn't snap into place until you focus on it, you know. And I'm not saying that that's entirely true. I mean, that gets very complicated. So, and again, I'm not a quantum physicist, but yeah, that's where they got their numbers for the first 11 dimensions. It was they tried to measure this thing and they found out that it was in 11 different places at once. About the particles that can be in two or more places at the same time. That would demonstrate the reality of the ubiquity of God. Exactly. Exactly. And that's why and you know, that's where you start to talk about the Higgs boson particle. And the Higgs boson particle, wasn't that nicknamed the God particle? Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure the Higgs boson particle is what they call the God particle, and that is where all of this comes from. This, as far as this idea of you know, one physical thing in multiple places at the same time. Yeah, Higgs boson, God particle. Yeah, the Higgs boson is the God particle, exactly, because it can be, you know, um, it can be in all places at the same time. It is ubiquitous. Okay. Well, some people refer to the Higgs boson as the God particle because you have to have faith to believe that it exists. But that was prior to its actual validation. Yeah, I mean, although for a long time it was criticized by many physicists, as the years go on, it just gets validated more and more. Yeah, the Higgs boson particle is a fundamental force-carrying particle of the Higgs field, which is responsible for granting all particles their mass. You know, and yeah, these things get really complicated, but like, yeah, if God is all knowing and all loving and all wise, I would think God could be God could be the the quantum. That could be God. Yeah, the quantum field. That's where we could find God. It doesn't necessarily have to, don't we don't always have to give so many titles to these things. But yeah, see now I'm getting into like all of this, and in the future I'd like to be better set up for these live videos. Like I want to lay out some bullet points, and like I'd love to do some research ahead of time, and I need to start like reading about these things and refreshing myself a little bit. But like I said, I've been spending all my spare time learning about social media and online marketing. So, until that starts to take off for me, I'm not going to have time for anything else. That's why I don't sleep at night. Yeah, so superposition, the ability of a quantum system to be in multiple states at the same time until it's measured. Yeah, it's really these are really a lot of these concepts, like people can't easily grasp them, but I feel like the more you entertain these thoughts, the more you get an innate understanding for them. Uh, uh, I think that's what me and you were talking about. Like intellectually grasping all of this stuff isn't so easy, but to gain a deep understanding of it is very, very possible. And that's why I'm sharing all of these things. That's why I like to talk about this stuff. I I made a song called uh, non-locality. That's what the concept of non-locality is. Also, that nothing is in a fixed local position until it's measured or observed. You know, and it is actually, superposition isn't just a theory. Superposition is actually a law in quantum physics. So like it's just amazing how like every year we learn so much more. And some of the things when I was coming up researching some of this stuff, so many people were so skeptical about a lot of it, and then it gets validated more over time. And every question has an answer, but every answer leads to more questions. So yes, the superposition principle with application in acoustics. And that is the string theory. I know with application in acoustics you mean actual sound, but like, yeah, that's why it's so fascinating. All of these things are related, and frequencies, vibrations. I really believe that vibrations are the foundation of reality. Frequencies are the foundation of reality. Like obviously physical matter, atoms and particles are the building blocks, but waves are the foundation, the blueprint, or you know, um, yeah, everything works in vibrations. That's why I made that video, you know, about cymatics and how sounds create different shapes, and how the shapes that sounds make are, are represented in the most fundamental shapes that we find in nature. And then you get into like the Fibonacci sequence, and oh yeah, we were talking about that. The golden braid is like one of these concepts, and it's also, and when I was talking about MC Escher, actually I have this book. I was gonna do a Facebook post about it because it really does relate to all of this. But I have this book called Gödel, Escher, and Bach, and one of the kids scribbled all over the front here, but Godel was a mathematician. I think, did we talk about this? I think we talked about this. I can't remember exactly, but you know, Godel, Godel formulated the theory of like the golden braid, or the concept of the golden braid. Never-ending growth. Growth that grows in on itself. So like, and it's also represented in the Fibonacci sequence. It's like, you know, you're constantly growing but never getting bigger, constantly moving but never going anywhere. Or yes, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. What is the Word? Sound/vibration. Yes, sound/vibration, but this is something I was into for a long time with the Word. And so what was the Word? The Word was God. What's fascinating about that is that the frequency of Ah, or God, is also found in most, I don't want to say most, but so many titles for the Creator or for divine beings. So many of them have this, and so many holy words, and so many like sacred sites and stuff have the sound Ah in them. And I forget what frequency that is, but it's I man, this is something that I was going to make a song about this a long time ago, and I never did, because the research never ended. I never came to, I mean, there's conclusions, but it's just never ending. So first off, my list of divine names with Ah in them was like 4 pages long, and then I just kept finding more, and I'm like, it's too much to even make a song about. But yes, the sound of creation, yes, and that's why we meditate. There's the Ah and the Om, and I'm pretty sure I've read somewhere that the Ah is the creation and the Om is the destruction. Not necessarily in a negative way, but just the ebb and the flow, the yin and the yang. Uh, the who was the Hindu goddess of destruction? Because I know the symbol of Om was always, and by Om I mean OM, and Aum, that's like, that I would say that's the combination of them. But and yeah, you can't have creation without destruction. So, but yeah, the list of gods with the Ah, just the Ah sound, is extensive. Shiva, yes, thank you. See, that's why I need you here. Yes, the goddess of destruction. And I know there's like ancient depictions of Shiva with the Om symbol on her, and yeah, really, really interesting. Or some say that Ah caused the Big Bang, and Om is causing the expansion. You know, it's pretty wild. And then you got, like, obviously you got frequencies within frequencies. So, but like, is our perceivable universe, is it just one small vibration in someone's voice? Like, it all of these things are very possible. But I had a long list. Like I said, I mean, off the top of my head, I remember, or if you think Brahma, or even Shiva, uh, uh, man, there's so many gods with the Asa. Well, and also like the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were believed to be gods, and I wish I could think of more. For a long time, this was years ago, but for a long time, like, I actually researched that, and I had like a notebook where I was taking all types of notes about the sound of creation. And but the Om, I didn't even get to the Om yet. I was only on the Ah, and obviously, these words are pronounced differently in different languages, but that sound of Ah was pretty much universal. So, and I'm not saying that's the sound of creation. I'm not saying that that's a like an argument I will make, but I just think it's fascinating to think about, and I think it's very possible, you know. Um, or you know, they say somewhere I read like it's the sound that a baby's making when it first comes out of the womb. It's screaming ah ah, you know. Now personally, my daughter was like more of a wah, you know, like a screeching type sound, but the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Yep. Creation, maintaining, destruction. Right, right. Now, like the exact sounds that those might correlate with, you know, and how would those sounds be, how would those frequencies be translated in cymatics? I'd be interested to see. I may have actually seen it and just don't really remember, but you know, with cymatics, what shapes would you see when you play those sounds? I could actually probably look it up, and I'm sure it's been done. I would love to get myself I would love to set up something to do those experiments one day. Uh, uh, I'm trying to think of more gods that had the ah or more, you know. There was definitely so much, but yeah, it's a fascinating concept, and I think I'm about an hour into this live, and I still didn't really give any comprehensive tips on keeping a dream journal. You know what? I'm gonna specifically do a Third Eye Thursday about the dreams, because so far I haven't gotten any questions on that in the live. I know there's a few people that wanted me to talk about it, but I can't tell if they're here or not. So if if you are, throw some thumbs up or throw some hearts up there, or leave me a comment. Let me know. Otherwise, I'll probably just make a video on. You know, I could link a bunch of videos that lots of people have made. The mantras or cymatic pictures of mantras. Huh. Right. Right. Well, yeah. Yeah, you have a point there. I mean, it's interesting how, I mean, well, okay, mandalas, you know, mandalas are those intricate, um, those intricate, usually like circular uh, patterns, you know. Yeah, yantras. Let me look that up. But yeah, I know mandalas are definitely. I think mandalas are cymatic pictures of mantras, you could say too. Okay. Okay, yes. Yes, you're 100% right about that. And yes, they look just like mandalas. Okay, yes, symmetrical, exactly. Exactly. And that's what's fascinating about that. And I don't like how can someone not get excited about that? Like if you play frequencies and you know, you look at the shapes that those frequencies made, they're represented by these exact shapes. And these are and obviously, yes, the yantra, the like these shapes represent spiritual journeys, and they represent the creation of the universe. And you know, I know the one like you enter through the door and you go through the stages and then you come out the door on the other side and all that. Like all of these things, they're not, people take them so metaphorically, but they're so literal. I mean, they're metaphorical, but they're also so literal that like I wish people could realize that. And then what is the power in that? Well, and why does that matter? Like, I mean, we're surrounded by frequencies all the time, right? And we're being bombarded by all types of noises and even inaudible frequencies and undetectable frequencies. But even not considering that, even just the audible and the detectable frequencies that we experience, like they're having an effect on us, you know. And then I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Have you ever seen Masaru Emoto's Messages from Water. He made that book, The Messages from Water, and that's pretty fascinating too. If you get it, that you know, I think that kind of shows the same thing. Yeah, I'm over here reading about all of these. See, these are the types of things that I enjoy learning about. Yeah, I really think that, yeah, I think it's the same thing as represented in the Messages of Water. You know, you take a picture of a water molecule and it looks like one of these shapes if it comes from a good place, or if it's been, if there's been some positive energy focused on it. And so with the Messages from Water, I mean, you know how they play music around this water first. That was one of the ways that they did the experiments. You know, they take a picture of the water molecule, play this music, and then take a picture of the water molecule afterwards to see how it changed. And if they play really good music, the water molecule looks beautiful, looks symmetrical, and looks like a beautiful shape, like one of these things we're talking about here. But if they play like crazy, angry music, it looks distorted and rough, and not so symmetrical. So, or same thing with focusing something negative on the water. And I know because anytime I find some stuff like this, that seems the energy projected on the water is shaping the form of the crystals. 100%. 100%. And it doesn't always have to be sound. You know, they've done it with sound, but they've also just done it with thought and intention, they write the word on there, and then but it's not necessarily the word, the actual like ink on the bottle, obviously. It is the intention and the thought that they had when they were writing that word. That's not to say that the symbols and words don't have power either. I'm not saying that. But yes, the energy projected on the water. Now, I know there's been multiple experiments challenging Masaru Emoto, and a lot of people don't like to talk about that. And I mean, I could just I could just keep talking about it as if it was never challenged, but it was. And a lot of people have tested, and they've done their own experiments independent of that, and they don't get the same results. But the reason that Masaru Emoto has a higher ground to stand on here, and it's almost it's not the same, but it's almost as bad as like people trying to defend the Bible, and saying, well, you can't disprove it, so that's why they believe it's true. So like Masaru Emoto, I know a lot of people challenged his experiments and they didn't get the same results, but that could be because their intentions were not the same. So if you go into this experiment and you're writing the word love on a bottle, but you're not actually feeling any type of love, and you don't really care, and all you want to do is see if this crazy guy has some distorted results from his experiments, and you're gonna test what he was doing and prove him wrong. Well, you're not going to get the same results because you don't have the same intention or the same energy, so I think that's really interesting, because every time I get interested in something like this that's so fascinating, I always ask myself, how can I challenge it? And if I was going to argue against it, what would I say? Because I don't want to be fooled. I don't, you know. So I have read about other experiments that have had different results with the water molecules. But again, that's I 100% believe that is the intention of the observer affecting the water. So like if you got bad energy and you're projecting it onto that water, you're not going to get beautiful, uniform, symmetrical crystal shapes. So, and I think that explains it perfectly. So, and like how, I don't see how they can argue against that, Like I highly doubt the people doing those experiments were, thinking about the love when they wrote it on that bottle. It's just, but we know that if you do, that there will be results. It's pretty amazing. I mean, that's why people say to talk to your plants. They say to give your plants love and it'll help them grow better. Well, people have been saying that's an old wives' tale, and people have been saying that forever, but it doesn't make it untrue. I mean, considering all of these things, and that's what was so fascinating about his book, The Messages of Water, was the implications that if the human body is at least 70% water, maybe up to 85% water, what are your thoughts doing to your body? What are your intentions? What is your energy doing to your body? And then, and these experiments have been done with plants, and even more conclusively, I know even Mythbusters did this, and I'll never forget that episode. I know Mythbusters did this where and that doesn't necessarily make it completely true, but like they had a lot of controlled experiments, and it's been done in other places too, but like a lot of skeptics challenge it until I pull up this episode of Mythbusters for them, and they're like, most people don't have much to say, and he, they hooked up the I think it's the EEG meter, the electroencephalograph or whatever that can measure the electromagnetic frequency. They hook it up to the plant to, and also plants release stress hormones out of defense and stuff, and so they can test, they test when a plant is in distress, and when its vibrations are in one direction or in another direction, and the myth, you think bad thoughts about the plant, and the plant's stress levels literally go up, like it's and measurably, you know. And then I know they've done the experiment where like, okay, that's just the person who's thinking about it, their heart rate is increasing and somehow directly affecting that plant. Maybe you're picking up on subtle measurements from that person. So they try this, they go outside and they think about the plant. He closes his eyes and he thinks about burning it and stepping on it, and the stress levels of the plant goes up. You they I know I'm pretty sure plants produce ethylene, I think it's called, as a stress hormone. That's like when they're getting like broken or bitten or something, that's the hormone they start to produce as like a self-defense mechanism or something. I know in humans we produce like cortisol is our stress hormone, but plants it was like ethylene. So like they measure these, and when the person is in a different room outside of the building, but picturing that same exact plant and thinking about the intentions of stepping it and ripping it, the plant's stress levels go up. So like, do you attribute that to the person as some strong telekinesis, or to the plant as a strong receiver, or obviously, is it both? Um, and we believe it's both, you know? Yeah, that whole concept is really fascinating to me. And I really believe it brings it full circle. Um, okay, I got through all the questions, and and you know, there was only those other two. They were from the first live originally. I never even finished answering all those questions. So yeah, we talked about the mirror tonight. What I see when I look in the mirror is usually some sort of portal, and it's usually not very visual, but more of a feeling. And plants are definitely intelligent. Love is the link between everything to everything and everyone to everyone. Love blossoms the multiverse and transcends it. Love is a stargate. Yeah, you know, depending on what your definition of God is, yeah, I really think that love can fit the definition of God. You know, so when they say God is love, like maybe that's literally all exactly that God the the love. And because then what would Satan be? You know, what would be the polar opposite, the counterpart of that? You know, I would say it's fear, not necessarily hate. I don't think hate is the opposite of love. I think it's fear. And fear at the same time is just, you could say, you know, the fear is, because, you know, hate stems from fear. All negative emotions, I believe, you could say stem from fear. If I'm wrong, challenge me on that. But like, all negative emotions have their roots in fear somehow. So I really believe that. And so love is, you know, love is positive. It is the opposite. It is the yin and the yang. And so fear is just absence, and love is just being. Love is creation. Fear is destruction. Yeah, I really believe that love is the link between everything to everything. I really believe that. And I know you're always embracing that unity, and I love that too. And love is unity, and the universe is unity, and but there's always the caveat. But you know, fear is the opposite. You know, and would we be able to experience love if there was no fear? I don't know. You know, that's tough. That's a tough one to answer. We all want to think that there is a place of pure bliss and pure love that we can experience, and I think we've all had glimpses of it if you've done any type of serious meditation or hallucinogenic drugs. But at the same time, you have experienced fear and doubt and hate and emptiness. So you know, maybe that's what made the experience of that love, that unity possible or appreciated. You know, we all need reference points. So it's you need reference points. Although together it's all one, you know, within it is the duality. And I do believe that unity is the end all be all, and love is the solution to everything, you know. But it's it's just interesting. Yeah, plants are definitely intelligent, and love definitely helps them grow. That is a fact. I mean, loving your plants helps them grow. Acknowledging your plants helps them grow. That is an undisputed fact. That has been like tested in so many controlled experiments. That just focusing, you can, two people can treat their plants, give their plants the exact same soil in the exact same setting with the exact same nutrients and water it at the exact same time every day. But if one doesn't even think about it or care about it or try to give it any type of love, it will not grow as good as the person who is loving their plant and talking to it and thinking good thoughts about it. So you were swinging from agony to bliss and back. Yeah. That's, yeah. That's the struggle, isn't it? I've been there too. And yeah, it's really tough. It's tough, but it's beautiful at the same time. But like, I think that's what adds depth to people, and I do think that you know, struggle builds character because as you're, you know, that downside is gonna be reflected on the opposite side equally. So, you know, I think that was that quote I talked about. And I think it's a Carl Jung quote, and I may have mentioned it multiple times, but I love it. You know, he said like the roots of the tree of life are strong enough to reach into hell, so the branches can be strong enough to reach up into heaven. And yeah, and I know we've talked about that, and I know I keep repeating myself on that, but it's important for me to remind myself of that every day too, you know, because life isn't always easy, you know, and I don't care if you're the most enlightened individual, like you have struggles, you know, or you've experienced those struggles and you felt it, and then it's like, is that, but you know, but I feel like all humans have this burning desire for, you know, for infinite, unwavering bliss. And it's like, if it never wavers, then how do you even call it bliss? You know, but I know we all do want that. It's like, why do we have to feel this pain? Like, and that's why I remind myself of this every day. You know, for a long time, I was like, we don't have to feel this pain. You know, I'm like, we can transcend. Yeah, mindfulness takes us to awareness beyond duality. It does temporarily, but not permanently. So, you know, mindfulness does take us to awareness beyond duality, but that duality comes right back in as soon as you're out of that mindfulness again. You know, although being more mindful in general, the more you do it, you know, the more you're in tune with unity, and you know, the less susceptible you are to duality. And if you practice it every day, it becomes, you know, a more prominent part of your reality. And I think you know that probably better than I do. But I still have to remind myself every day, because it's like we all want heaven, you know, we all want nirvana. Um, we have a deep desire to transcend all suffering, and sometimes, you know, I think that's a survival mechanism for people, because a lot of people feel like they have no reason to keep going if there's not the notion of some sort of infinite, unwavering bliss for them. It's like, why even keep going then? You know, it has to exist out there somewhere. We all have that desire, but I mean, I don't believe that. I believe that there's always going to be waivers. You know, I believe that everything, you know, nothing is static. Everything is in motion. And if there is motion, there has to be two relative points. Am I a dualist? Maybe I'm a dualist. I don't know. I guess I am. But like, it's what makes sense. Like, in order to have experience, there has to be motion. Motion is vibration. In order to have vibration, there has to be reference points to be vibrating to and from. Otherwise, the vibration doesn't exist. There's nothing, there is no movement. If there is nothing in relation to that thing, then it doesn't count as movement. It's not doing anything. So there is no experience, there is no existence without movement, without motion, and without, you know, a point of reference. And if there is a point of reference, then that is separate from the observer, you know. If there is if the observer is the only point of reference, then the movement and motion is not possible. And therefore I don't think existence is possible. Maybe that's just my dualistic human understanding of existence, but it's like, you know, how can you have existence without a separate reference point? You you have nothing to compare to, you know, you can't have up without down, you can't have left without right, you know. I don't know. What do you think? That's why I love. That's why I mean that's why I'm fascinated with the yin yang. You know, although it is one circle, you know, it is unified. Uh, it wouldn't exist without the division. Then it would just be a plain old circle. You know, but the fact, you know, it is a beautiful symbol because it has the separation. I mean, I have a desire for unity too, and I mean, like I said, I made that song called Unity. I went and spoke at a college philosophy class in like locally. You know, one of my friends played the song or something for his teacher, and his teacher emailed me and asked me to come in and talk to the class about unity because that's what they were studying, and you better believe I was well prepared for that. You know, I did my research. I didn't I don't have to read notes because like I write lyrics and record songs, so like I can remember my words really well. And you know, I gave a great presentation on unity, and I love it. And you know, it is everything, literally. But you know that I struggled with that for a long time. You love that song? Did you listen to that song? That's a very old song. I don't know if you've heard that one. Yeah, yeah. If the humans would live in bliss, the human race would disappear in a matter of generations. Did I link the Unity song to you? Did I? Because that's horrible. I think I did. Okay, I did show it to you. My bad. Uh, man, but that was a long time ago. I recorded that song. Um, it was probably like 10 years ago now, right? I don't know how old it is. It's old, and I didn't know how to record at the time. And the guy, my engineer at the time, he was making the beats like from scratch. You know, he was actually recording his guitar and stuff. He would punch in the drums or whatever. But that song sounded horrible. But I'm glad you like it because you know the lyrics and it do get the point across. Thank you, thank you. It's a great song. Okay, yeah, I've so much old stuff that I love lyrically, but like sonically, it sounds so horrible that I can't even listen to any of them anymore. But like, you know, the words were always on point. Even if I go back to some of the songs when I was like, you know, I also have the song. Thank you. I also have the song "Non-Locality." I should show you. You probably like that one too. That was also the first music video I ever made. But yeah, if humans would live in bliss, the human race would disappear in a matter of generations. That's something to talk about. So for a long time, I don't know if you're yeah, I don't know, are you familiar with the Celestine prophecy? It's a fictional book, fictional series. Uh, who is the author? Um, oh, I know it. I know it. You know, this Celestine prophecy. It's great. Those books are great, and yeah, they changed my life too. But the idea in those books is that this guy finds an ancient prophecy in Peru or something, in the virgin forests of Peru, where the trees have never been cut down by mankind, and all of the prophecies lead towards or speak about man becoming so enlightened that he transcends this existence. But then again, that's, I mean, you said the human race would disappear in a matter of generations. Right. But would they disappear from all of existence, or would they transcend this existence? That's the question. Like, because in the Celestine prophecy, that was the idea that you become so enlightened that that you transcend this physical reality. Because as I was explaining before, you know, when you add energy to something, particles spin faster and spread out. And the theory behind this is that if you increase your frequency, that means that you're vibrating faster, and your particles will correspond with that, and you will. That's why when people say they're in love, they say they feel lighter. You know, like you feel light. You know, or when you're in a blissful state, like especially athletes, when like they're really tapped in, tuned in the zone, they're like light on their feet. You know, they almost, it seems like they're weightless sometimes. Um, like the ancient stories of Buddhist monks, and I'm not saying like this is 100% true, but just like the idea of it, like Buddhist monks sitting cross-legged, and like they always said they like floating 4 or 6 inches above the ground. I know there was a lot of the European writers, like back in the early 1900s, would go on these expeditions and observe these monks and talk about how, and again, I'm not saying it's true, but like, and there could be a lot of other explanations for this, but just the idea of it, that them sitting cross-legged and floating above the ground, you know, just being light, and yeah, and yeah, so the idea behind the Celestine prophecy was that you start to vibrate at such a high frequency that your particles spread out so much and dissipate, and you literally, you transcend this existence, and in this story, it was, you transcend to the next dimension, but you're still here. You know, you're still like, you're still here, but everyone just has to tune themselves slightly differently to experience you. And the idea in this book was like, they said that's what, it's a really cool book. You should really read the Celestine Prophecy. You would love it. The idea was that like the Mayans, this was before there's a lot of more recent evidence now to say how the Mayans disappeared, and they say like they found mass graves. I feel like, maybe there's a conspiracy there, but the idea in the Celestine prophecy was that we don't know how the Mayan civilization collapsed so quickly, and they were flourishing and thriving for so long, and then in such a short period of time they just seem to die off, and there wasn't much records of like dead bodies or bones found. So like for a long time, people wondered what really happened to the Mayans. So, and the idea in this book was that they reached a certain level to where, you know, a lot of them died, but the enlightened ones reached a level to where they transcended, and they left behind these prophecies that like humankind was gonna do this in the future, and the character in the story goes through the prophecies and has the experiences, and he starts out with just, he's like skeptical in the beginning, but he goes to like these gardens, and people are practicing like holding their fingers together and trying to picture the energy between their fingers, and then he catches people like manipulating their energy with the plants and stuff, and it just, just goes on from there. But yeah, it's really interesting. If humans would live in bliss, the human race would disappear. And then, they say that's what happened. Some say, or I've heard, that's what happened in Atlantis, and there was such an advanced civilization that reached such a high, such an advanced point that, and some say like they're still here, they still exist, we just can't experience them. They're living just slightly shifted out of this detectable universe, but you know it's still like this earth, and it's still this universe. It's just, a slightly different frequency of it above it. And then if we start talking Hinduism, you get into all the different levels that supposedly go a lot higher. And then maybe when we're talking about those levels, then that's maybe that's that is the primordial version of the superstring theory or the M theory, like we were talking about before in quantum physics with multiple dimensions. Maybe the ancients, that's their understanding of it, was transcending levels of existence. That's what heaven is. Heaven's just the 11th dimension. But like I said, then they come to find out there's more than 11. They believe there's infinite, and that's called the M theory. And I think it stands for membrane theory, and that's just the concept of everything existing as one in a membrane or whatever. It gets pretty quacky at that point, but still interesting though. So I might have to call it a night now. It's been a lot of fun. My girlfriend is probably hating me right now, so I'm gonna go in and try to make her happy, and then I'll come back out and start working on music until it gets late outside. Because it is 11:54 at night right now here, so it's almost midnight. Still early for me, but I have been up since 5:30 this morning for work. But I want to do the video on how to use a dream journal. Thank you. I will see you. Yeah, these deeper conversations are like, this is what I do, this is what I love. So I'll try to get better with like, my camera focus and all that, and my posture and my lighting. So those are all things we'll work on in the future. But in the meantime, I'm gonna definitely be throwing out a video on just how to use a dream journal and simple basic tips for stuff like that. And I will be back next week. And I might have to switch the time. I'd like to say it's going to be every Friday at 10 o'clock, but we'll see. Uh, thank you all, beautiful people. And if anyone watches the replay of this, just leave a comment and let me know where you're watching from. In the future, I will be sharing this video individually across different groups after this. So, and I'll be chopping it up for real. So thank you all. Have an amazing night. I don't even know how to turn this off now. Oh, there it is.